3rd, 2022. I'm watching the news this evening. It's right here. And this particular face, they're alerting me as Madeleine Albright. She apparently just died. The gentleman is speaking about it. And here's the thing. I'm sitting here at a syllabic understate in a territory on the map or the globe that says United States of, and then America. So it's U.S., OA, USA, whichever it is. I'm not clear. I'm trying to define this for myself for some semblance of one conversation at the moment. I grew up in New York. I was moved to two different sections of New York, Queens, Long Island, still on the same island, still just outside of New York City, downstate New York, just above Jersey, or however that works. But now, what I don't understand is we didn't learn any of the local governance or any of the Washington family members that were working for us. Like, their names didn't become household names. There was no conversation had. There was no, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, all right, so I'm part of this big existential family. We have this thing called a White House. We have this territory in North America we're responsible for. It has some humanitarian thing it does with some nation states outside of our domestic border lines. However that works, if there are business relations, allies, partners, I have no idea. So if that's the case, then why, if there's one State Department inside of the USA, why were the active players, like the people sitting on the Senate floor, or even to learn what the Senate does, even to learn what to reach for as a kid, to be part of the integrated, like, come on, kids, like, you're in, en français, it's n'est-ce pas? It's the father's nest. It's the eagle's, here it's the eagle's nest. But again, there was like none of that, like, here's how the family's big, large hug, and you're the next generation, and we got to prepare you for who the current leadership is that will welcome you in somehow, and you'll just be absorbed as a part of it because of your ancestry and relation to us. And then we've got some U.S. embassy and imbecile relation outside with some nation affiliation. But inside of the border lines, this is us, kids. I don't understand why. I've never even heard this woman's name. She died. I have no idea what she accomplished in her career. Never heard of her. There's not even like a semblance of, or an assembly of attempts. 13 years you're held captive in this USA or New York State education system, or even New York City education system, or Long Island education system. 13 years I was held captive there every day, pledging allegiance to the one flag that they had at the front of the room. We were ready to learn. We were ready to find out what God's gifts were that we were to interact with, what pearls of wisdom person at the head of the room that knew, the adult in the room knew. And never happened. didn't learn names, didn't learn titles, didn't learn their importance. It's like some secret society of white people just, I don't know what they do. They forgot about me, that's for sure. I've been looking for them my whole life. Now I'm seeing them as they die off. I'm like, wow, you must have been a really great woman. I mean, what she did, couldn't tell you. I mean, she had significance, I'm sure. She got somewhere. They're putting her on the news, but this is how sad this is. I have no stories to tell, no career mementos, no genealogical or ancestral pride to pass on to my children. There's a whole lot of nobodies in all different shades, all different sorts, all different sounds. They mean nothing because there's been nothing here built. No semblance of unity. It's just been, they gave me nothing the first 13 years. Then they wanted me to pay for more education when the first 13 years didn't work out. So this way then I could guarantee myself a job, which didn't work. I went, I paid, I sat there more, and then now I was paying monetary fund and taking out loans to learn nothing and to have no guarantee of employment. And then to just be like thrown out there. I mean, it's ridiculous. But yet there are people out there like this. Would have loved to have known who they were. Just they didn't prepare my generation, Generation X, arrived 1978. My mom's generation, 1948, 49, I don't know, whatever. Didn't prepare for her either. Would she know this woman's name? Maybe. My mom might have a better shot than I do. But if for me, there's no radio because you have to have a car to have a radio. It's not like you sit here and there's no, whatever. Lynn has this thing over here, but I can't, whatever. And then there's the visual aid. But I don't know who's controlling any of this stuff. And I don't know who controls the information that they're broadcasting over the stuff. I don't even know what AM or FM even means. They say that that's the length of the radio wave. But where it originates from and who creates this radio wave and who's able to travel on this radio wave, nobody ever says.
She was a child refugee, a Jewish girl fleeing the Nazis with her family in Europe during the Holocaust. She would become the first woman to be U.S. Secretary of State. Tonight, tributes pouring in for Madeleine Albright, who died of cancer today at the age of 84. Albright's family breaking the news this afternoon saying she was...
Look how important she is. She met and knows Bill Clinton and some more white family members I've never met and don't even know the names of because I couldn't tell what title they stand in the somebody special closet of USA because they don't bother to make sure the children of the off the lawn or out of the green lawn are even fed or know what's going on. I mean, it looks like there's been no effort made whatsoever.
She was surrounded by family and friends. She was a lifelong Democrat. Albright was chosen by President Bill Clinton in 1993 to become the U.S. ambassador.
No idea who that meeting was.
Ambassador to the UN. As Secretary of State in...
Whoa, U.S. Secretary of State. No idea what that means. And she was the ambassador to the UN. So now she was the U.S. ambassador. Then how the heck did the other gal get in there? I mean, she's not even a gal because she's not from the Isle of Man. But whatever. How did we get the person that now sits with the little United States label in She's Not Us? How does she get a voice as a messenger representing the us? She represents something on the other end of the table in the UN, but she doesn't represent USA. So the U.S. label gets a little confusing when I see her speak, because whose agenda is she promoting? It looks like a really dirty topic that nobody seems, like topically, nobody seems to be like going, oh no, this makes sense, right? No, you are part of nation state, NS, somewhere. Then there's a UN, and then there's the us hybrid bridge connection of allied partners and whatever business is going on. But I don't understand why there are messengers that are clearly not family members that are inside rattling off things and knowing things and learning things, having access to things that are nation states and not us or part of the USA or part of the USSA. Like very clearly there's two dads on the field that have been, or fathers of the two land masses on this one television message in this one section of time. They've been clearly defined by whatever's running this intelligence service in this youth area of, this is getting tough to define. I mean, all but myself, no less. It's like they have this great big party. They all know one another. Some know the USSA with an R in front of it, representatives. Some know some of the Iber part of the Iber to Siberia family. Some know the USA side of the family or the Canadian side of the family or whatever. And then there's like me, like how did I miss the first meeting of the family when they came together, and why was I left out? And nobody took me under their wing to teach me about these people and why and how they like to be addressed. I mean,
In Clinton's second term, she became the highest-ranking woman in the history of the U.S. government. In 2012, President Obama awarded her the Medal of Freedom, and just a short time ago,
she even got a Medal of Freedom from the guy who broke into the White House and sat there like a squatter with all the Capitol Police around that have family obligations and know things and have an incredible existential intelligence community. And nobody thought that grabbing him by the back of his neck and throwing him out and saying, this is the family estate here. Can't have this. This sends a sign to bigger enemies elsewhere that things are not going so well at home. Oh my God, not the signal you want to send. But he was like a red flag, like just going off. I mean, there is a study of war theater, isn't there somewhere? I mean, I've heard it on the nightly news just recently. I just have no idea what they call their outfit and what territory they run out of. I mean, that sounds like an interesting bunch. How do you find those family members?
Ago, former President Clinton releasing this statement saying in part, she was one of the finest secretaries of state, an outstanding UN ambassador, a brilliant professor, and an extraordinary human being.
As we continue with Eyewitness News at 6 on this Wednesday night, Moderna said...
Still don't know. I mean, Clinton, yeah, got it. Former President Clinton. I see his face. I know his face. One. A few. But it's hard. How do you teach your children the system when you've gone through the whole schooling system that they voice is so important? You found no importance in it, but you've also found no pearls of wisdom because they didn't build you a construct of how they actually exist more than a philosophy and more than a theology, and more than just a thought of a family in existential, and than just a lineage, but how it actually works and how to integrate yourself in it, not in like a social climbing kind of a way, but like in an active participant that there's benefit and people want you around. It's so frustrating. The more I watch this semi-intelligent machine and its attempt at like a reality or some semblance thereof or some dysfunction that I'm trying to find some symbiosis with. I mean, I really should have never had children. I feel so bad for what they got pulled into. I mean, I didn't want to be here myself, but decisions that were not of whatever free will.